Hello Keepers, I thought I'd do a video today on, excuse me, I'm still getting over getting sick. 7 things I wish I knew when I was younger. You can pick and choose whatever you want, whatever you hear me say, and take it with whatever you get out of it. Number 1, the one thing I learned is, and it sounds simple, but learn from your mistakes. You'll hear my grandfather come up often. He was a big influence in my life. Some people have that one person in their life that just makes a huge difference. With my grandfather, he told me that to learn from my mistakes, you know, if you make a mistake, learn from it. We all make mistakes. We make that mistake. Do we find out what it is, like what happened to where we can fix it for next time? Or are we just going to get overwhelmed and say, oh, that will never happen again? And then it ends up happening again. He says that learn from your mistakes, because if you don't, then you're just stupid. My grandfather was very blunt and to the point, but he had such a softness to him when he spoke to me. And so those words made a difference. I didn't take it to heart until, well, I'm in my late 40s now, so it wasn't until my 40s that I really took to heart everything that he said. I wish that he was still here. He died at 97, because the things he told me, I feel that I didn't really take it too much to heart. And now I'm like straining to remember all of the good little tidbits he told me that could make my life better. Learning from the elderly is invaluable, because they have lived their life. They have made many mistakes. To make your life less painful and to repeat mistakes that they've made, it's best just to listen to what they have to say, and that way our life will be more successful. Point number 2 is to learn from your situation. I'm talking more of in your partner relationships, boyfriend, girlfriend, whichever, and in your friendships. In my partnerships, I always kind of went for the same type of guy. I find that each relationship I had, it got better and better. I did learn from my mistakes, but if you tend to go towards a certain someone and it just doesn't work, then try to do just a slight improvement on the next one. It's really hard to find that right someone, and it takes time. But I found that the person I'm with right now, we just had our 15-year anniversary, and a lot of it is changing together. I find that's the most important thing, is that we change together, because everybody never stays the same. We all evolve, we all get older, situations change in life, and if you can find a relationship and grow together, then that way you won't grow apart. It's a lot of compromise. That is a huge thing. You're not always going to get what you want, so finding the right medium and just trying to find things that make him happy, make you happy, and then try to meld it together. And it's going to take some sacrifice sometimes, but that is my biggest tip that I could say for relationships. You never find, okay, this is the way it is and we're going to stay this way forever. Things change. They might have a death of a loved one in their family that was a huge part of them, and that changes them. So things will always change. You got to change together. In friendships, I find it the same thing. Kind of want to find a friendship that will help you improve in life. You find a friendship that is tearing you down or having you lean toward things that aren't making you a better person. It's time to maybe not always say goodbye to that person. Each friendship offers something different. You might find someone that you like walking with, someone you like working out with, someone you like to just call when you're having a down day. Every friendship offers something, but if your main friendships, they're the ones that you gravitate toward, if you find that they're not bettering your life, it's time to branch out, or you're going to find that you're going to be stationary in life. you're not going to be moving forward and bettering yourself. Because isn't that what life is all about, is bettering yourself, not staying in the same spot, and making sure that you reach your goals in life. If your friends are holding you back from doing that, or if they're not encouraging you and rooting you on, it's time for them to go, or to spend a little less time with them. Point number 3 is to follow your gut instinct. I find that over the years, you learn to listen more to your gut instinct. And when you find that your heart is pulling you to do something, or if your conscience is training you and saying, you know, you really should do that, you really should do that, you should listen to it. Usually our subconscious is trying to tell us something that it knows that we're a little behind on listening to. So as you get older, it does get better. You learn that you're not kicking yourself more and saying, oh, I should have done that, you know. This may not be a huge great example, but there was a man that lived near me, and he was somewhat of a wanderer. He was always at the store, the laundromat. I'd see him out and about. It was always him and his dog. And he kind of lived the wanderer life. He just kind of lived out of his car. But he did have a property, but he just never sat still. He always was meandering around. I'd see him out and about. And every time I saw him, my heart told me to just stop whatever I was doing. And even if like I was in a rush, to at least wave and acknowledge him. Well, not too long ago, I saw that his car was on his property, and it was absolutely totaled and demolished. And I never saw him again. And I knew that I don't know if his car was towed back to his property. Maybe his relatives, his family just had him towed there. But I haven't seen him since, or his dog. And I feel sad in my heart that something, more than likely he probably passed away in the car accident. But I don't feel like I kicked myself, like, oh, that time I should have stopped and said hi to him. I feel like I did everything I could. And someone in your life, whether it's just a homeless man on the street, or maybe a relative that's elderly, maybe it's your grandfather that you always wanted, maybe I should give him a call, and then things come up and you don't get to it, and then they pass away. It's good just to follow your gut instinct, no matter what it is in life. And if it's telling you to do something for someone, then do it. Because you also learn from that person. I learned a lot from that man. I miss him. He's with the Lord right now. Him and I spoke a lot about stuff like that. He's in my heart, and I'm glad that I was able to take that time and spend time with him. Point number 4, you can't control everything. Situations where you have to kind of be honest with yourself and know that when things go wrong, you can't control everything. You got to do the best you can with what you're given, and know that as long as you do the best you can and something still goes wrong, you did everything you possibly could. So let it go. I find that in situations, I try to fix everything. And sometimes life just doesn't go in that direction. It's best just to do the best you can and then just let the rest go. And know that, things come up. You try to do things perfectly so that you can avoid any bad situation, but things happen the way they do, and you just got to roll with the punches. I find that too in relationships. One of the hardest things I learned is that you can't I see that in maybe more of young people for the overall, but not always. People they go into a relationship and try to change that person. They try to control everything that they do. And in actuality, you're really just driving after the wind. It's going to be pointless because they're just going to do it behind your back. You cannot control people. You can't change people. They are going to do what they're going to do. And your best way is if you see that you're in a relationship or in a friendship and they're going in the wrong direction, you can try to say, hey, I noticed this, and I'm saying it out of love. But if that person does not take your advice, then let it go. Don't push yourself on that person, because what's going to happen is they're going to pull away from you. And what you're doing is absolutely pointless. I find the biggest teaching tool is patience and love. Those two things are what can help motivate someone, and instead of pushing someone and them resenting you, if you find that if you practice what you preach, they may follow your example, but also being patient and loving, that tends to kind of melt the heart a little bit. I know with my grandfather, when he told me something, it's almost like I mentally did a headbutt, like I wanted to butt up against him all the time. And he saw it. He saw that mental barrier, and all he would do is just kind of do this little giggle that he did and just show love in his eyes toward me. He knew I was butting heads with him. He followed what he preached. He practiced what he preached. And I found that he was more successful when he told me something and he followed it. And not only did I hear what he said, but I actually saw what he said. And that made a huge difference to me. And I ended up changing in my own way. Instead of, my mom would be like, oh, there's an easier way to put that pillowcase on. And I'd be like, well, I like to do it this way. I was such a fool. You know what I mean? It's not just the pillowcase, but just the way I treated her. But I found that I did my own twist to changing the way I was putting the pillowcase on. But she really was right. And all I had to do was listen, and things would have been so much easier. Point number 5, go where you find peace. To some people, that is maybe working out. To some people, it's painting. I personally like to go for walks with my dog. I like to watch the birds. I like to spend time with my plants. It's whatever you find that your heart rate is at relax. It's you can look within yourself. You need that part in your life in order to reflect on everything. It's to slow the world down, because the world is on fast forward constantly. It's go, 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 go. But if you can find that one time in your day to where you can slow down, you can breathe, you can reflect on a situation that just happened. Some people, it's going for a ride in your car, somewhere preferably where you can be alone, and you can just work out a situation and say, okay, this happened. Why did that happen? What can I do differently? Is there anything I could have done differently? Maybe things just happened the way they did. You need that time to readjust, to collect. If you're in a job where you're constantly on an adrenaline rush, whether it's working in an ER, my partner Bill, one of his good friends is a firefighter. He's constantly go, go, go. The things he's seen, he needs time to reflect and to slow down. Center yourself. Find whatever it is that you do. Some people it's puzzles. I know that sounds silly to some people, but each person is different. It's a renewing of your mental energy, because you need that mental energy to keep going in life. If that's on empty, you're physically going to get drained. You will get sick. A lot of things if you run yourself ragged. Find a way to bring it in, and it may take time to find whatever it is that works for you. I wasn't always a bird watcher. I wasn't always a plant lover. You find some type of hobby that helps you regain and recharge and collect yourself. You will find that when it's time to go to work, or when it's time to, the fight or flight, when it's time to, okay, let's perform, let's do, you are charged and you are ready to go, and you will succeed better than if you were to be mentally drained. Number 6, work on your positivity. I like to do 2 positives to 1 negative. When I'm negative, it really hurts my depression and it brings me down. And some people are like, well, I'm just realistic, and they think that positivity is not a realistic thing. But it's all about training your mind to look beyond what is bringing you down, what is beyond the negative. I know I did massage therapy. I went to school for it, and one of the projects that we did is that I did a wellness program, and it's about recharging your mentality from the inside out as far as feeling better. And she told me, my instructor, is it takes 28 days to start a habit. And when you start a habit, it's a little harder to break when you continue that in life. Find 2 ways to attack that negativity, and you will find that it becomes a habit. So when something bad happens, you will say, that's okay, because I'm gonna do this and I feel this way. You automatically switch off that, oh my goodness, the world's coming down on me, I'm not gonna do this, I can't make it. You automatically think, this happened, no problem, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna feel this way. Some people stand in front of a mirror and they do self-affirmations. To some people, looking at yourself and telling yourself these things, that may help as well. Whatever works for you, it's trial and error, but try to keep your positivity up, and you will feel that you can accomplish more, and nothing will take you down. You may fall, you may stumble, but you will get back up and you will keep going, because isn't that what life is all about? Is the ups and the downs, but it's how you view everything is what's going to keep you going and keep you moving on in life. Point number 7, and this is the hardest point I had to learn, and that is surrendering to the Lord. Surrender to Jesus. Take your life and say, I'm giving my life to you. You are in control. I can only do so much. That is the hardest lesson and the hardest acceptance that I had to accept. I find that it is necessary it's kind of like in a company, there's always a higher in command, and that helps the company run smoothly. Everybody is important in that company, but when problems arise, there's that chain of command that goes up in order for the company to do what it needs to do. And it's the same thing in your life. You will find that when you have to answer to someone higher than you, all of a sudden it's like you're not always in control, and that can be a good thing. You know that he can take the reins and say, and you can just look at a situation and say, I did the best I could. Lord, just take it. Take the situation, pray to him, show your faith, and pray in everything. And that's kind of hard for me to do. I've always been brought up where, you don't ask for things, you take it on yourself, you do it. But sometimes, we need to show that faith to Jesus and say, you know what? I need help. I can't do this on my own. I grew up in the late 70s, early 80s. Things have changed so much since then that it's impossible to take things out on your own, to handle everything yourself. You can't. You need Jesus that can be able to take hold of everything and let him be in control. The biggest point in this also is that when you ask Jesus for help, make sure that when you ask him for help, once you, as the Bible says, to throw your burden upon God and leave it, you need to do just that. Don't say, oh, well, I need your help. And then when that problem comes up, you take control and say, you know what? Okay, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. No, if you ask Jesus for help, back away from the situation, give it time, because Jesus does things in his own time. Let him work. Don't take back that situation and then keep asking and then taking it back. Ask him, throw your burden, throw everything, and then leave it. Let him do what he needs to do. And it reminds me exactly of I remember when I would be cooking or cleaning and my son was young and he'd be like, I'll do it. And sometimes we just want to get it done. We just want to, let me just vacuum, let me just get this done because I have other things to do. And that once they get a hold of that vacuum or that broom, it's going to take like 2 hours longer. It seems like. I find that God is the same way. When you say, I'm going to do it, you know what I mean? And when you already asked him for help, he goes, oh no, here we go. She's just let him just grab that broom, grab that vacuum, let him do what he needs to do and let it get done. That's part of showing your faith as well, is not just the praying part and asking for the help, but then really show your faith and let Jesus do what he needs to do. If you can glean anything from what I've said, then I hope this helps you and that you can learn from it. I know that I wish someone had told me these things as I was old, when I was younger. I find that with my son, for instance, I can tell him something over and over and over. But when someone, like maybe his grandfather tells him, or his dad, or his friend, or his friend's parents, when they tell him something and it's what I said, but it's someone different, then all of a sudden the point makes sense. Maybe they just needed to hear it from somebody else. And that's fine. That's okay. So hopefully something that I have said, maybe someone has been telling you this over and over, but maybe the way I said it, or maybe it's at the perfect time in your life to where you're ready to accept it, then I'm hoping that you can take these things and learn from it, and maybe it'll make your day a little better. Thanks for watching, Keepers, and I will talk to you soon.